Hello again, everybody. I'm Peter Slattery, the host of On the Raritan. We are back for another episode. It's been a long time for us, probably shorter time for you, but today I am joined with the amazing Adam. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know you are super busy at Columbia. You got a lot of term papers. You're in the thick of it right now, so yeah, you're doing a great job. And also, finally, Max, the magnificent Max, and that's alliteration, is back with us, not just for half the episode, but for the entire episode. So, Max, we're very thankful that you're here, and I'm sure that the audience listening at home is also very thankful that you're back for the whole entire episode. So, thank you guys very much. And before we start talking about episode 6, because those of you who have watched it, it is a little bit shorter, and there's a reason for that. We'll get into it. Max, how is season 2? Because I know it's been very busy with season 2 stuff. I know you filmed, I think episode 2 was the most recent episode, and you're planning out episode 3, about to film that soon. How's everything going? Like whatever you can say about that.
So season two is going great. All of our contestants have been a lot of fun to work with. Right now we're down. We actually, you know what? I was gonna say how many people we have left, but that might be a spoiler. So I won't say how many people we have left. I will say that we have 2 episodes filmed, and our third episode will be filming December 7th, and we already have our fourth shoot scheduled the week after. So as of now, unless there's any last minute change, we have the next 2 shoots and the rest of the shoots for the year of 2024 set up. And that should bring us into the next semester with about 3 or 4 shoots left, maybe 2, probably around 3. We'll figure it out, but it's been going great. Our contestants are a lot of fun. The crew has been really into it, and we've had a much bigger crew turnout for these first couple episodes. It helps that we have a bigger e-board now too. But it's been a blast.
Max, and that's honestly awesome to hear. It's also great to hear that you guys have crew, because hopefully for forever now, gone are the days when it's just you, me, and Adam, like together filming. And that was what it was for this episode, right? Episode 6.
Hmm.
Yes, it
Yep.
was
Didn't have any
We'll
help.
always have new stories to tell.
Yeah,
So,
back to basics, I guess. But I think now, thank you, Max, for that awesome little tidbit of what's happening with season 2. I know the contestants, if you're listening right now, I can't wait to see the final product. I know you're ways away, but trust me, cherish every moment that you can, because before you know it, the finale is going to be filmed, and before you know that, episode 1 is going to be released. So enjoy it, take your time, love it. All right. We're now going to talk into episode 6. And before we ask Adam's thoughts about going into it, I just wanted to take some time to just give, some basic lowdown. This episode was actually a double elimination episode, but it was not for the viewers. It was a double elimination episode for the contestants, because at the very end of when Kevin went home in episode 5, we do the little twist where we say, "All right, guys, I know you're super tired. You just spent all this time debating. You're not done. We're doing another immunity challenge, another scramble, and another person will go home." So, Adam, that was just the background information. What were your thoughts going into this episode without kind of giving a little too much away on what happens?
yeah, so leaving off, and I'll just say now, spoilers for episode 5. If no one, if whoever is watching did not watch 5, you shouldn't even be watching this right now.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
watch that.
sorry.
But just in case, I legally am obligated to disclose that spoiler. Yeah, we're coming off of the twist from Final Six, the double elimination, but what eventually became a pretty hectic live tribal among the 6, where Kevin ultimately ended up going home. But that was crazy. And the key thing for purposes of planning how we were going to edit the episodes, at least just from a raw production standpoint, this was supposed to be a double elimination episode as well, as Peter alluded to. But this episode is a little bit shorter to make up for basically what happened is that we weren't expecting a live tribal. I mean, we can't control that. We don't script it. And it ended up being so chaotic, and we had so much fun stuff to work with it for editing to make that episode as great as it could be, that realistically, if we would have put all the content for episode 6 in a combined episode would have been almost an hour and a half, and we didn't want to have to do that to people. We like our pacing to be a little bit fast, quick, and really just entertaining, and can get to the point and just lead to an enjoyable experience. And we felt that separating the episodes would be the best way to do it. So now, Peter, as you said, we're back into the final five, but it's immediately where we left off, and we're going straight into the challenge. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Max give a little spiel, but like Adam just said, we just moved directly into this. There was just so much good footage that we could not do one big episode, so it had to be split into two. And like I said, this leads us into the beginning of episode 6. So as soon as they vote off Kevin, spoiler, gotcha. As soon as they vote off Kevin, we're heading right into the immunity challenge. But Max, do you have any like thoughts or comments that you'd like to say about this episode in the very beginning? What you were thinking or feeling?
Okay, so and John mentions it at the beginning of episode 5, where it's been a while since they played last time. So in order to make up for some time that we had lost, we wanted to make this one film shoot a shoot where two people would go home. And because we were in the same location, we just figured it would all be one episode. But as Adam said, with the live tribal and you know how much we wanted to include from that, that ended up becoming its own episode. But I really liked the fact that even though they are two separate episodes, they still had to play the game during one continuous shoot because it tested them in a way that they haven't been tested yet. In between all of the other film shoots, they had the option of going home and chatting with the other contestants and coming up with strategies for the next episode. They didn't have that option this time, so it tested them in a completely different way. And you heard multiple people discuss during the episode that they weren't prepared for it. They thought that this round was going to be next week, and they were really thrown off by that. But it was cool to see how they strategize in a context that they have not been introduced to yet and are just being introduced to for the first time now.
Yeah, and you can completely see it on their faces. The second we tell them the twist, like just picture yourself being a player, and I'm sure some of the contestants who were there might even remember, but just imagine you go through, like I said, all that stress, all that anxiety, just to see, okay, I made it past this round, now I can go home. As Matt says, he was ready to eat that omelet, but no, we deprived him of that omelet, and they had to play, they had to continue. Like Max said, we did not give them the option to go home, whereas they're used to, a couple weeks break. And I think, sometimes we even had like 3 or 4 weeks break just because of scheduling. So
that was the case in terms of the timing for this one, because if I'm remembering correctly, we filmed this first week of December 23, I think. So
I think
we weren't gonna. Yeah. I was just gonna say we weren't gonna have people come back from their Thanksgiving break early, but we also knew we only had a limited amount of weeks left before the end of that semester, and we didn't want to bother people during the finals either. So we were kind of in a condensed timeline, and it was coming off of 2 to 3 weeks off, I believe.
Yeah, and
so
Max,
I want to give some lore behind the Matt omelet thing. So in talking with Matt after the shoot, in planning for season 2, one thing he would always say is, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't eat. I usually wouldn't eat the morning of shoot days because I wanted to get more of like an authentic Survivor experience." I kind of was thinking like, I don't know why you did that, man. I mean, that was completely optional. We even say to our contestants during season 2, please eat a big meal before you show up to the shoot because I don't want our contestants suffering. I don't want them to be hungry. But Matt challenged himself in this unique way, and I guess he was excited. He's like, okay, I'm finally going to eat something for the first time today after the shoot. And then we took that opportunity away from him. Yeah,
Wow,
he
I
didn't,
did
he
not
didn't just
know.
want an omelet. He wanted to eat something for the first time that day. And
wow.
he happened to be in the mood for an omelet.
Learn something new every day. That is, I respect that.
And
And the fact
and
that you
Matt, if
didn't
I'm
know
wrong
that,
and you didn't do this for every shoot, then let me know. You can comment below. But I remember you saying that. So I'm assuming you also stuck to those rules today for this
Well,
shoot.
what I think now, knowing that information, because I had no idea about that, I think in this specific challenge, that was to his detriment, but we got to get into that now because I think we talked enough about the lore, why the episode was split. We're going in to the immunity challenge, the final 5 immunity challenge. And we finally did, after so many puzzles, so many index card things, we brought back a physical challenge because, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the last one was all the way back in episode 2. And that was
Yeah.
yeah, and that was only because of, all the restrictions we were still under. They called it like probation. I think it was the probationary period for a new
The first
provisional.
year you're a club,
Provisional.
you're a provisional organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, they were, well, we didn't know if they were, but, just in case they were watching us over a fine tooth comb, we didn't want to get and do anything that would make a contestant get hurt. But we finally brought back a physical challenge. It's nothing but accuracy
Well,
and skill.
we still don't want to do anything that might get a contestant hurt.
That is very true.
But I think we can allow ourselves a little more flexibility when it comes to physical components to challenges.
We are not wrestling each other. Do not worry. We're not doing boxing. So, but anyway, this challenge, very simple, very like on the face of it. You have a ball, you have a milk crate, you're tossing the ball into the milk crate. If you get it on that level, you get a point. You keep going up, you get more points.
Peter, I thought I had the ball, the exact ball we used in one of my drawers here. I was looking for it, but I don't think we'll be able to give a live example. Just more incentive to watch the episode, I guess.
Wait, I got something. We ordered new juggling balls for season 2.
Yo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
regardless, this is basically just while Max is getting out. Yeah, this is pretty much a challenge. It's a very simple physical challenge. A lot of the contestants were asking for it. A lot of them were tired of puzzles. And we can see what the results were. And unfortunately, just based off what Max had just told me about, Matt had an absolutely stellar performance in this challenge. He somehow missed every single basket, including the first. I'm sorry, Matt. I had to. I come on.
Yo.
There we go. There we go.
So this, I just also want to explain. Peter knows this. Me and Peter were obviously roommates for 2 years, and that's a big reason how Rutgers Survivor started. And I had this milk crate that just next to my bed. I kind of just put my backpack in every night, but I also had some random miscellaneous stuff in there, like juggling balls. And I can actually juggle, so that's why. So sometimes in my free time, I'm like, what? Let me just get these. And that's when it hit us. I think Max, you were there that night. Just hit us like, what? Let's just throw these into the crate and see what happens.
Yeah.
You remember the idea I proposed when we first came up with, okay, they can throw these balls into the crate. I came up with the egotistical E-word idea.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, nah. Basically,
yeah, it was basically like a glorified game of horse where we had to do a funky action and make it in the basket, me and Adam and maybe Peter too. And then the contestants would have to repeat it. We ended up sticking to a much more simple toss the ball in the crate.
As much as I would love more screen time, I'm happy with
I was just about to say we denied your guys the opportunity for more screen time. You only exist in episode 1. Well, Max, you do exist if you look closer.
I exist for like a few frames there.
I'm in the frame in episode 2. Like
we're all there. We're all there. But regardless, pretty simple physical challenge. Everybody had been asking for it up until this point, and we finally delivered. And like I said, some people performed, some people didn't. I don't know, Max or Adam, do you want to talk? Maybe Max, do you want to talk about like what kind of what went down in the challenge?
I want to point out some key moments. So, first, I think one of the main story arcs of this challenge is Matt not living up to his potential. Matt, who like is a pretty athletic guy and performed really well in the running challenge early in the season. I think he was also one of the ones who was asking for a physical challenge the most. And you start by saying you're a sports guy, right, Matt? He says, don't hype me up like that. And then misses the only person to miss every single throw. I love you, Matt. I'm sorry. I don't mean to harp on this, but it is really funny. And I think what makes it really hysterical is Matt's reactions. He has the slapping his forehead the first time. And then throughout the challenge, he continues doing this really bizarre technique. Like there's one time he's like standing up on one foot, has his leg all the way behind it, swirling, and then he misses the last shot at the end of the challenge. And I know you extended the length of that clip, so you just see Matt slowly.
You see him sulking. It's just so funny because he's just like just walking down this. Oh, it's so that was like I said, that was a fantastic moment. And also surprisingly, additionally with that, The other moment here was the girls did really well. Ashi and Gia did like really well in this challenge. And spoiler alert, I think it's okay to say is, one of them does end up winning. So,
Mhm.
there's that with that too. But also, the fact that you gain points, different amounts of points depending on what level you're on. Level 1 is 1.2 is 2 point, all the way up to 5 is 5 points. That led us into a very interesting scenario where at the very end, the very last throw of the challenge, the winner was only up by 4. Like the four points was the highest anyone had scored. So if
Mm.
one person got 5 and nobody else finished or nobody else got it in, they would have won the challenge. So truly, till the end, it was anyone's game. But Adam, did you have anything else you wanted to add to this part of the challenge?
I think you covered it pretty perfectly here. I mean, once again, a pretty straightforward challenge in that regard, but still a lot of fun to produce and execute. And while it may not seem like the most physical challenge, I believe you said in the episode yourself, Peter, accuracy. That's the other key thing that we were testing. And it was really cool seeing. I'm going to spoil who won the challenge right here. It was Chia. And she did an incredible job. I mean, I believe she only hit 2, maybe 3 of the targets, but
She
the fact
hit,
that it was still
she got
more.
one, she got the 1-pointer and the 3-pointer.
Okay, but yeah, the
Yeah.
3-pointer is impressive. I am a little surprised that there wasn't better performance across the board. When we tested it for like the 1 minute before, I honestly thought it'd be a little bit more competitive, but still, credit where credit is due.
I don't think that it was the fact that it wasn't competitive. I just think that it was the fact that, like, keep in mind, Adam, me and you are doing this is like, I can't believe that they have to stay for another round. Like, this is so great for, like, we get to see them panic and all this. But for them, Adam, they must have been stressed out of their mind. And especially if you have people who were missing the first and second shot, that's going to totally, like, mentally, like, attack you on the higher levels. Cause it's like, well, if I couldn't get the third level or the second level, how am I going to get the fifth?
That's actually a very good point. And at a stage like the final five, where immunity is so important, you see this alliance, which we'll get into more, potentially having to turn on each other.
Well,
It's a big deal.
not potentially, because as Adam just said, Gia wins. This poses a massive problem because up until this point, believe it or not, Gia is the last original Voorhees member left in the game. Now that she's won immunity, unless she gives it up for some reason, I'm not saying that's a spoiler, but I'm just saying potentially that's what could happen. It's the four Wordblin this whole time who have rode past the game up until this point are gonna have to turn on each other. They're gonna have to eat each other, and we'll have to see what happens with that. But before we kind of get into that and that scramble, I did want to just go back and kind of just mention the editing a little bit because one of my favorite moments of the season is definitely John's final shot with the
Oh
slow mo. I just because editing this, it was just so funny because a lot of the footage, like I know Max and I were both worried thinking about this because the challenge itself visually is very boring. Like just having people go whoop. So you have to kind of like add like flair and stuff. So that's why, I basically went crazy with this one. I did split screens, I did whooshes, whatever the technical terms is. I don't know. I'm not a video editor,
Oh,
but
you did fantastic. And I
It
like
was
how
incredible.
every segment of the challenge you edited differently. The
yeah,
first one was kind of standard, you're just getting into things. Then you did the split screen, you did like the montage of them all throwing. You had like fun moments where you just mixed it up for like a specific throw, like John's big slow-mo final throw that'll determine if he wins the challenge or not, only
You
for
also had the
the
side by
worst throw of the
sides
entire
that,
game.
yeah, you had the split screens that were perfectly synced up too. I mean, just everything about the execution of how that challenge was edited and how it looked in the final product was incredible.
yeah. The thing I generally do is just I honestly do the music first, and then I put the footage to the music because the music is going to highlight certain moments, like the with John throwing. I was like in my head, I could just picture slow mo, and that whole shot was just funny because it's super serious. Is he going to get it? Is he not? And he almost hits the other contestants. It was such a bad miss.
Yeah.
I also want to reiterate that I was filming like you could see the angle that I was at right behind the milk crate. I think I got hit once or twice, especially in the earlier rounds too.
Yeah. So Adam, thank you for taking one for the team. But
Mhm.
I don't know if there's really anything else to talk about with the Did you guys have anything else in
I
regards?
think the
I
biggest thing
guess,
is, oh, sorry,
yeah,
thanks. You
Adam,
go.
you can go.
No, I was just gonna say, like that there wasn't anything else, but if you have anything, I'm all ears.
Oh, well, I did want to say, I think the reason Gia won, it seems like she was throwing it the most consistently, just like with a regular form. Like it didn't seem like she was trying anything fancy. Like it seemed like everyone else was trying to do some convoluted movement in order to get the ball in the basket. And Gia was just casually throwing it, and it worked for her, and she did awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, accuracy.
Hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just if you get a like calm and cool head, you're able to perform a lot better. And I mean, yeah, like just taking a moment to think about this again before we kind of go into the scramble. Gia wins. And if she didn't win, there's a very, very good chance that the Warbler would have stayed strong and just knocked her out. So it's like that's what we're dealing with. But all right, I honestly don't think there's anything else to say about the challenge. We're gonna go into the scramble, but first we're gonna take a quick break. And when we come back, we're bringing on another special guest. So I hope you guys are excited for that. And yeah, I guess we'll be back. So see you guys in a bit. So our standings are still the same. Ashi with 2, Gio with 4, Logan with 1, Matt with 0, John with 2. What this means, since the next thing is worth 5 points, anybody can still win. If you make it and everyone else doesn't, you win the challenge. Not bad. Oh, that was so close. Ouch. So close. John, if you get this, you win. If you don't, you will win. Guaranteed shot. Oh, God. And that'll be it. All right, everybody, we are back with On the Raritan. Joining us right now, not only is Adam and Max, but it is our special guest. And unfortunately, this is another special guest who went home this episode. So it's one of those special guests. But needless to say, we're very happy that they are here. Special guest, please reveal yourself.
Hey everyone, it's John. Got voted out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fortunately, it was John this episode. John, before we start, I just want to say, you played an amazing game up until the point that you got voted out. You're very entertaining. You provided us with so much good content. So first and foremost, thank you for being a part of the season, and thank you for joining us for this kind of little interview. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Always. And yeah, I guess to start, my first thing is, so looking back towards the scramble, the very first scene of the scramble is between Matt and Logan. And Matt and Logan Matt immediately tries to tell Logan, John wanted to flip the votes on you last time, i.e. John is a big threat. Did you feel or think that you were a big threat going into that vote post this, this surprise of the twist of it being a double elimination?
Yeah, so it didn't make it to the episode, but I gave a confessional. I don't know who it was to. I basically said I'm either going out at Final Five. I said this in Final Six. I said I'm either going out at Final Five or I'm winning. And unfortunately it was the Final Five. I pretty much the second we merged after the Joe vote, I planned out what I wanted to do for the rest of the season. And what you saw pretty much was my plan. The only unfortunate thing was Kevin's stray vote on Ashe. So I knew that in order for me to get to the end, that needed to happen at the final six. And when that didn't happen at the final six, I knew I was screwed. It was just my mentality going in was let's see what we could throw at the wall and see what sticks.
And when you're saying that didn't happen at the final six, are you talking about Logan going home?
Yes.
Okay.
About Logan going home. That
Interesting.
pretty much I view that as the point in the season where my game kind of derailed.
But that would have been a tie, and I think we asked Kevin this when we had him on. Do you think it actually would have done anything in a revote?
I've gone back and forth on this. So the way I would have handled that discussion is I would have been very adamant, putting the foot down, this is what we're doing, my pitch basically would have been to Ashi that her sister made the flip earlier in the season. Now it's her time to make a move, and that pretty much the two of them have been in the power position, and this is their time to use it. I don't know what would have happened. I mean, we do see almost in that scramble in the final six, Ashi's even saying, do we do Logan or John? Like, I don't know how much she was really weighing out those options. I'm not her, so I don't know how much they're really weighing it out, but I don't believe if I was putting my foot down that much, people would be willing to go to rocks for Logan. I think if it was the other way and Matt was at risk of going home, I do believe that he had people willing to go to rocks for him. I don't think Logan or Kevin were in that position where anyone was really willing to put their game on rocks. I would have been.
And that's very interesting because I know us three have discussed that too. You know, what happened if Kevin back in episode 5 did not throw that stray vote on Ashi. And like I said, that's just to the current players playing now. Never give up. You don't know what could have happened if Kevin did not put the vote on Ashi, you know? So
Yeah, Kevin, never give up.
But we've discussed, and I thought we came to the conclusion, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, that we didn't think that they would have turned on Logan, that it might have gone to rocks, or that Kevin would have went home anyway. I don't know if you guys remember what we discussed, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm just thinking back to as it was happening that it was it I was fully expecting a tie at that point based off of what we were talking about. Whether rocks would have happened, whether someone would have flipped, that I think was the $1 million in this case, $100 question, I guess. And $100 is still not confirmed one way or another.
Yeah. Yeah. Max, do you have anything else to add, or am I good to move on to my next question?
Well, I was convinced up until this point. I mean, can't know for sure, but I thought that if there was a revote, Kevin would have still gone home. But after what you said here, John, I really don't know. And I feel like Ashi did have a lot of respect for you in the game, John. And you even see in this episode, she's talking to Gia and she says, would you give your immunity to John? So even in this episode where it was a 4-1 vote and you getting voted out, Ashi still had some respect for you and still wanted to maybe sway the vote away from you.
That
So
was actually the hardest part. I've like everything watching Rutgers Survivor. I mean, like me making moves that fooled myself, all those confessionals convinced that Logan had the idol. I cringed the most at her saying that because I'm like, I feel like if I really worked on them that tribal, I think I
Mhm.
really misread that. I think I should have focused on them, but I guess so. We're going to the beginning of the scramble. What happened there is I talked to Ashi and Gia, and right away they tell me, okay, well, Matt's saying you. So I said, okay. That's where I start to really gather, like, okay, this whole time Matt probably has the idol. He's been playing me this whole time. But on the same token, he has the idol. We can't vote him out. I just have to hammer home this Logan has the idol, Logan has the idol, make myself look stupid because what's the point of getting votes on Matt if he's gonna play it? So that's when I really realized that, okay, Matt's basically been playing me this whole time. But I just didn't get the confirmation I needed from Ashi and Gia because, yeah, they told me, okay, Matt's gunning for you, which is what you'd think an ally would tell you, like, hey, this person's coming after you. But then when I was like, okay, what are we doing? They're like, oh, we don't know. We don't. So I didn't get that like assurance I needed. And I don't know the viewers know this scramble was very short. Like we did not have as much time as we did for the other one because we went way over time with that other tribal with
Yeah.
all
Do
the
you remember?
shenanigans that went off.
You remember we were like, all right, guys, we'll give you like 6 more minutes. Like we came in like every room, like it was like 2 minutes, guys. Come on.
It
I
it
do
was
remember.
really rushed.
Yeah.
So my logic was, you know what, I don't have time to figure out which side they're going. I it hit me. I was like, I think everyone wanted to bring the twins to the end, really. I think that was kind of everyone's idea. So in my head, I thought, okay, Matt's gonna want to bring the twins. Logan's gonna want to bring the twins. I want to bring them. No one said this out loud yet. So I just thought, you know what? Let me just tell Matt and Logan this, like, hey, we all want to bring the twins. all three of us can't bring the twins. It's not a final five final tribal. It's a final three. That means two out of the three of us are going home. 1 in 3 odds aren't that great. So that's where I kind of came from in my pitch. Fell on deaf ears. Honestly, if I was them, I probably wouldn't have taken that deal. If I was Logan, maybe. On Logan, I would take that deal, but the problem is Logan's one person. I think at that point, Matt had the twins. However, I will say, I was like the only person to get Gia to vote separately from Ashe.
Ah,
Like
yeah.
everyone viewed the twins really, aside from like that first tribal, but then she flipped over. But I'm talking like our alliance game. Everyone viewed them together, but that Logan tribal once. Also, can I go into like, I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the
Yeah.
place.
No, please do.
Which started that whole text fiasco? We're jumping back an episode. We're walking down the stairs, and I look back, and Ashi's whispering to Logan. And mind you, this whole time, based on my confessionals, I obviously had no clue the three of them were working together. We'll get to that, by the way. Had no clue they were working together. So then I'm like, in my head, I'm like, why is Ashi talking to Logan of all people right now after I've just been saying, hey, we need to vote Logan? And Logan was just acting very, very paranoid that tribal. So I was like, shoot. So then that's when I really locked in with Gia. Like, okay, we are doing Logan. We are doing, don't talk to anyone else. Don't listen to what they're doing. We're doing Logan. Don't worry. So I think it helped that I kind of had Gia on my side and was pulling Gia. Just the problem was Matt had a stronger hold on Ashi, and then Ashi was able to just pull Gia with her.
Yeah, yeah, and that the another thing I guess I wanted to touch on a little bit first is what was your reaction to the twist initially? Do you think things would have played out differently if you had more time as per normal, or do you think that it kind of would have just been the same outcome?
I think it would have been the same outcome. I think if anything, it was almost better for me that we had this twist because, you got to think fast and I'm just throwing out ideas. And like I said, my plan benefited me, not so much the other people I was pitching it to.
Mhm.
So if you had a whole week to just think about the logic of the vote, I think it definitely would have been, yeah, John.
Yeah, yeah.
Say everything you were doing throughout that scramble, and I'm sure we'll get into even more detail, but I was falling for it. If I was one of the players, like I filmed one of the interactions. It was either you and Matt or you and Logan, one of those, and I was thinking to myself, is he actually going to save himself? Like I legitimately thought that you were going to pull off that plan that you were talking about, but I guess that's something to go more into detail with. But
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, I
yeah.
I thought it was a good pitch too, to be honest with you. And that completely highlights what my main next question besides what was your reaction was you got the episode title, Pulling the Strings. Um so doing this and trying to throw the vote on Ashi, I feel like you were trying to pull the strings.
Wait, Peter, just to clarify, that was the episode title for the previous episode.
Oh, sorry, that was episode
Episode
wait.
5.
That was 5.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I should know my stuff.
So that was the live tribal episode.
I mean, in my head, it's all still like one
Yeah,
it's
one
episode
episode.
because
It's
we
Well,
one
that's
filmed it
what
the
we were
same.
also
And
talking
Yeah.
about. We separate. We said earlier in the show how we really had to separate those two episodes just because with the live tribal that you guys had, there was no way to end up fitting all the content from both of those shoots into the same episode.
Yeah, but regardless, to save myself here, you did say that you were Emperor Palpatine pulling the strings.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that statement will age like milk because you said you'd be at the final three, but it's okay.
I mean, Palpatine never won. I mean, Palpatine died in the end. So
Palpatine came back, season 4.
we don't talk about the
Yeah, we don't talk.
sequels.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
okay, okay.
Nope.
No,
Yeah.
but I was gonna say for pulling the strings, did you feel like once you got voted out, once you got blindsided, did you feel as if you realized that you weren't pulling the strings the entire time, or do you still think that you were kind of steering the whole thing, or do you not like? Do you think you were in less control than what you actually thought you were?
I think I played the most different game from the people in my lines. I went into it very much the mindset the lines helped you at the start, but then you got to start playing your own game. And I feel like for a majority of the season, they all voted together. And I could have been a lot quieter, gone with them, but that's not who I am. Very loud mouth. Every time there was a vote, I'd like everyone standing around and I'd say, okay, let's go talk. So I knew also likability wise, like I thought Kevin at Tribal was very cocky in my answers. So I was like, likability wise, I'm not the most likable. So if we all play the same game, they're gonna vote Matt. They like Matt. So I need to do something different. I need to pave my own path. But so I genuinely believe that I was kind of orchestrating my own path forward. And I think I set the pieces into place. My big blind spot, obviously, the idol, but it's the Discord alliance that happened in the second episode between Ashi, Logan, Matt. I understood that Matt and Logan halfway through the game were closer than I thought they were. Obviously, Gia and Ashi, and then we had Jack and Kevin. So I gave that confessional. I viewed it as a bunch of duos, and I choose, and that's the position I wanted to be in. I don't regret being in that position. I like having the options and trying to piece together which way to go. The problem was I didn't see Ashi as their third.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own thoughts on the Discord Alliance. I've talked to Joe after the season. Both of us have played. He played Discord Survivor. I played Instagram Survivor. So in my head, I didn't want to do the online stuff. And Joe said he was the same way, that he was a strictly in person. So maybe things would have been different if from the get-go I was texting people on the Discord, making group chats. Maybe that would have been different for me. Maybe I would have replaced Logan in the three. Maybe it would have been me, Logan, whatever it would have been. But I liked the fact that I just did it all on camera. I think that came through a lot. And I really have no regrets. My only regret should be Kevin's regret putting down Ashi's name. So
Yeah.
see you on
And I will
season 3,
say,
Kevin.
and I will say, John, your perception of yourself that you just described to us, of you playing the most separate game out of the Warbling tribe and navigating your own path, I think the other contestants saw that too. Logan has a
Mhm.
line in the past episode where he says, I think we should vet out John because John is playing his own game that I feel might get more respect in the end. And would it have gotten more respect in the end? Maybe. We will never know, but
Mhm.
people in the game and outside of the game, I think definitely see that you were playing your own game and you were very intentional in everything you were doing.
Yeah, like I like that expression, like they're playing chess. I was the one playing checkers. I was a little behind the ball. And like
Playing
I know a
tic-tac-toe.
lot of my confessionals, like the pulling the strings. I also played up the villainy. I was
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
have fun with it.
You had
And
fun though.
that
You had fun.
I had fun with it, and I was playing
You had fun with
around.
it and made it fun for us to watch.
I didn't need to fight Kevin at Tribal Council. Jack was going no matter what, but it would have been fun. So I had fun. And I guess it just came through too much. I had fun. Like, I don't doubt Logan, Matt, all of them have fun, but just the way they act, I think they would come very serious, very business, and I'd be. So I think not so much even just playing my own different game. I just acted differently too. So that just really, no matter what I did, I was almost like out there. So
Yeah.
Oh, I want to ask John another question. And because
Sure.
you brought up Kevin multiple times, the you and Kevin rivalry has been an ongoing storyline this season. And most of my favorite moments from the season have been the arguments you would get into at Tribal Council and just the some of the comments you would make to each other outside of the Tribal Council, like Kevin saying, if I go home tonight, I'm gonna turn the whole jury against you, stuff like
I
that.
forgot
So
about
yeah, so how did you feel about you and Kevin's dynamic throughout the season?
I ju- mind you, we had the rivalry. I was the only one on all of Warblin trying to save him. So maybe he should have said thank you. But what killed me about the I'm gonna turn the jury against you is I would have been like, dude, shut the up. I'm voting. Like, I'm saving you. Shut up. Like, honestly, I believe had he not pulled the shenanigans he tried to pull at that tribal, it would have been 10 times easier to just split the vote. I feel like he made it worse for himself with that stupid fake. No one believed the fake idol. No one believed it ever. They were never going to believe it. So I just think him doing all that made it work. And then him coming over, I wanted to say to him, dude, the reason this live travel is happening is because I'm trying to vote out Logan. That's why this is happening. But he didn't understand what was happening. He just saw, ooh, the alliance is fighting. Let me like jump in on this. Um,
Yeah.
so the only reason I didn't tell him is, hey, I am voting Logan is because he's not on camera. Logan was literally right to my left. So I was just like, cool.
Oh, that dude,
Yeah.
yeah. And I wanna kind of jump into my next main question here to keep things like paced. Idols. Obviously, this was a big thing in the last episode, which is pulling the strings, different in this episode. But still, so you mentioned before that you at least right here right now that you thought Matt had did you know he had the idol or did you think it was more likely over Luke?
So the whole game, I thought Logan had it because the only time I ever went outside the game and texted was I was texting Matt about the idol. And so I just thought, okay, we talked about it. I also didn't realize Matt was playing as hard as he was. He was very quiet. I thought he was playing a good social game. I didn't see the strategy. So whereas Logan, I saw he was trying to be, but there's only so strategic you could be when it's an alliance pagonging. There's really not much strategy when you're going. So I felt like, okay, Matt has the social. Logan, I guess, has the strategic part of it, even though I didn't necessarily respect that strategy. So I was like, they're all gonna think Logan's the threat. And there was something about Logan. I was like, I think he has the idol. So the whole game I went, Logan has the idol, Logan has the idol. But then it started to hit me at that final six when Logan freaked. I don't know how much it translated on camera, but he was freaking out that whole tribal. And I was like, someone with an idol would not be freaking out this much. But I'm like, I don't know, Matt. I don't know if he has it. Maybe Logan's just trying to save it till five, so he has final four. So I was like, iffy. The second the idol wasn't played at final six, and then we go right into final five, and I find out that Matt's trying to vote me. I'm like, Matt had the idol.
Mm.
So from there on out, that's when it was the last ditch effort to just throw out Ashi's name. That whole tribal, I knew I was going home. I got even Peter's question. It's like, oh, do you still have fight left in this game? I'm like, yep, it's me. They're all going to vote. I'm like, yep, it's me. My confessional. I didn't even give a snarky confessional. I'm just like, yep,
Yeah,
throwing in the towel.
I think I even said something. If you want to have a final goodbye, like I was like, I even think from I'm sorry, but I think from my
Yeah.
perspective too. Hopefully that didn't give too much away. But
Yeah,
Adam,
and your
you got
last, I was
anything?
gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah, I was just gonna say on top of that, John, your last like in-game confessional before the voting, I think you even said something like, "Oh yeah, thanks, Peter. This was a lot of fun."
And that made the episode, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Because I knew it was over. I was like, there's no point. I was like, I knew the second that final six tribal happened, getting past the final five would be hard. Getting even into final tribal was going to be a million times harder. So at that point, I was like, let's see what works. If not, it was
I
fun.
think it's that self-awareness actually for obviously you read who had the idol wrong, but like knowing your place in the tribe, I think also made you that big of a threat too. But one other thing that I'm curious about is you mentioned like the Penongin of the Voorhees tribe. When we started with only 10 people, you had five on your original tribe. So what like do you think it would have been a different game if there was more people or more opportunities for a swap, any other crazy twist or interactions, or how else could you have saw this game going? Is what I'm trying to say.
I feel, but because not only do you have just small starting tribes, small numbers at the merge, but you also have the twins. So it really made the whole merge strategy. Everyone gave a confessional pre-merge saying we want to work with the twins so we could flip the other one over at merge. So that really just forced the strategy to be each side fighting over the twins. And whichever side was getting the twins, that tribe was having a person win. So I don't know if it was the numbers or if it was the twins. It also theoretically I could have flipped at final seven. The thought did cross my mind. And that split vote, I was part of the three. I could have flipped, voted Logan then. But I feel like Jack and Kevin would be the type to just throw me right back under the bus instead of working with me going forward to last another day. So that's why I ultimately planned my flip for six, not at seven. So it was just harder to maneuver. So that's why I believed that you have to separate yourself from the alliance. And some people did that, some people didn't. And back to Kevin, I just want everyone to know, like, postseason, me and Kevin are good. That's probably one of the people I've texted most after the show. Second I got voted out, I texted him that he was an idiot. Like, got voted out, gave my final words, pulled out the group me, and I said, "You're an idiot." But yeah, no, I'm genuinely good with everyone on the cast. I just also want to point out that the Yankees made the World Series to a certain cast member.
Yes, they did.
Um,
Yes, they did.
would have been great if,
Let's
Aaron
go
Judge hit the
Yankees.
ball, but
Yeah. But
yeah, just want to
I wanted to kind of get into that too, because this kind of brings us, I think, perfectly into the actual tribal. And yeah, say everyone's rounds. At this point for editing too, there's pretty much, since there's so few people left in the challenge, I try to give everybody a question and answer. Whereas, Max, maybe in, episode 1 and 2, there's, I mean, still 5, but there's so many people, especially at Merge, that you can't ask a question to every single person. So everyone got their little spiel. We find out right before the votes are read that Matt does have the idol. He does play it. I think earlier in the season he was potentially thinking about holding it on until the final tribal, pulling I forget her name, but it was season 42. The winner was like, yeah, this is Marianne. Yeah, I never played this. But
Yeah, I think he actually did voice that in one of the episode 4 confessionals.
Yeah.
I made the edit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think ultimately it just came down to um if Matt can guarantee his safety at a tribal council and it's the only tribal he can guarantee his safety at, it's like even if he knows he's not going home, you might as well.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I would just like to say anyone who had the idol, and if they tried to do that at Final Tribal, no matter how good of a game they played, I wouldn't have voted for them on principle alone. In a
Exactly.
10-person season where only 7 people are voted out, you maybe, what is it, 6 or 5 tribals you've gone to? Use it. Shake up do something with it. Don't make I
But
wouldn't
going into
respect that.
Yeah, going into that though, like I said, Matt plays it. He's immune. It's okay. He doesn't get any votes anyway. Gia, I know I toyed with this in the very beginning, but Gia does not give up her immunity necklace, so it's one of the Warbler. And unfortunately, John, it was unanimous on you. Which, fun fact, I think this was the first unanimous vote since episode 2. So you and Boston Green have that in common. So that's awesome. That's awesome. But regardless with that, yeah. And that leads us, the final 4. We are here. We have Matt, Logan, Ashi, and Gia. Crazy that the twins are in the final 4 now. That's crazy. But this is obviously going to be more talked about in the next episode. So in the few minutes we have here left, John, is there anything else that you'd like to bring up or kind of say while we're all here?
I don't know. I guess like who I was rooting for when I got voted out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who you were rooting for?
My immediate thought was I was rooting for Gia because I looked back at the same thing going with the alliance. If you don't separate yourself, in my head, Ashi, Matt, Logan were all played the same game. So I said, you know what? Gia saved me. So yeah, that's who I was rooting for. I know in my confessional I said Logan. That was just me really trying not to sound bitter in my final words because especially right when I walked in the room, Max said, please be nice, please be nice. So I was like, okay. So I was like, I really don't want to look like a sore loser right now. But I will say, coming out of that, the game I respected the least was Logan's.
Interesting. Very
And just another general question, John. I mean, like
But
obviously
side note, me and Logan are still good. Like I don't want to start beef. Like I like Logan outside the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Outside of the, like I said, you got to eventually at some point, I agree with Tony Vlachos. It's a game. And I mean, yes, you can be mad at what people have done. And some things, obviously, like I've played similar games where people have done some kind of stuff you wouldn't, want them to do. But
Mhm.
we make mistakes. Everyone who wanted to play. And sometimes it just gets a little too, much in the head for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I think it's a game. And I'm glad
Exactly.
that, like you said, you made not even made amends, but you talk with Kevin now, you talk with Logan, and like I said, all the contestants that we've met They're great. They're fun people. They're awesome people.
And
So
I feel like it's not even really making amends. It's more so just like in a game like Survivor, whether you're on an island or just playing on a college campus, it's gonna get heated. That's the nature of the game. It involves lying, it involves manipulation, but like nothing anyone did like crossed any sort of moral line. It's all in the bounds of the game.
yeah.
So it's not even like things needed to be mended. I think it's more so just like you get outside of the game and then you can actually like meet these people for the first time, not in a competitive environment, and you just start a new relationship with them.
Yeah, and I'm really sorry. I have this question just popped in my head.
Mhm.
Thanks for it because I'm spinning this off of Max. But
Yeah,
John,
yeah.
you mentioned how you played Instagram Survivor, and
Yeah.
obviously Instagram Survivor has the dimension of the fact that you're behind a screen and you can kind of
Mhm.
hide with that. How different? How do you feel? You know, it's what I've been asking the whole season. How different was it playing the virtual Survivor versus playing in person? Were you hiding your cards more, even though it didn't seem like it to us? Were you hiding your cards more than you did when you were playing your Instagram version? Or
All right, so the Instagram, there were like the big three games. Like it all started during like quarantine. Like the
Mhm.
big three games, I made Final Tribal and all. I got first, second, and third in like three different franchises they were called.
Wow,
Um,
congrats.
the
Good job.
thing that was different there is people would just get bored and think of like a crazy strategy and like make a huge flip for the sake of a flip. And I didn't know Joe played Discord games, but the way he was going about that merge vote tipped me off to the fact that he played those games. So that's the best way I could kind of describe it. That trying to split a vote to get a majority by lying to this person, but telling that like throwing out five different names when you're doing one name, that works on the phone because you could kind of keep track of who you've told what to, who knows what. It's much harder when you're in person and we see you talking to this person, see you talking to this person. So you have to be more reserved in your strategy. If you are doing those crazy strategies, it's not like you're running your numbers and texting one person real quick. You're visually out there
Yep.
scrambling, running through the scenarios with other people. So I think that's what's different. And I don't know. I think a lot of the people who played Instagram Survivor wouldn't have the greatest social games in real life. There would have been a bunch of like pre-mergers. So luckily everyone, what for the most part, was social this season, so it was very easy to just
Yeah.
have people to talk to
Yeah.
because that's the worst. I'm very outgoing, talkative. If I had to talk to a wall, I would not want that. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad everyone was at least eager.
And yeah,
We
Adam,
saw
a
that
little
from
bit we
day
have.
one too.
Yeah, ask your question because we only got a little bit of time, unfortunately. But Adam, go right ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask just straight up. We've been talking about how it's all game, all good fun. What was your favorite part of the game? Just competing
Yeah.
and doing all this in general.
Oh my God, Jack asked me this question in the game, and it's the same answer. So Jack was just asking a bunch of like annoying questions because he was about to get voted out, and I kind of felt bad. I was like, he's like, "Why do you have that hair? What's your favorite color?" Like, I was just like, dude, could we go to tribal and vote you out
The
already?
mullet, but why? What's the
Why
real?
the
I don't
mullet?
have it anymore. I don't have it anymore. It's gone.
Uh, yeah.
So I was like, he asked everyone, "What's your favorite part of the game?" And I just looked at him and I was like, when I didn't get voted out last night, because it was like a back-to-back filming day. I was like, yeah, when you guys failed to get me out, that was my favorite part. And just, I don't know. That was the only trip. Even when I went home, I didn't have that nervousness because I was like, I'm going home. But that tribal, seeing John come up, I was like, yo, I'm in like some deep doo-doo. So like just feeling those emotions and then like that scramble where like I'm just like, listen, let me talk. And then it's like, and then the best part was like as that talk was going through, I'm like coming to terms like, oh no, we got this. Jack and Kevin are fumbling this. Joe's pissed off at them. He knows he's going. So it's like I went through 20,000 different emotions in that one tribal. Went from going so cocky to totally blindsided. Like I was expecting that last vote to say, whatchamacallit, Joe, and it's like, oh my God, Gio flip. And then when it said John, I was like, what the I thought Logan flipped. So I was like, that was the epitome of Survivor. You went through every emotion. You were on a high, on a low, back up to a high. Like it was a little roller. Like that tribal was so fun.
Yeah.
And I just want to compliment you on how eloquent and how fast you were during that tribal. It was really impressive to see. And I think someone even commented on the video, like, John's case was incredible.
Oh,
So
the comment said Josh. They got my name wrong, but I knew they were talking about me.
oh,
They
okay.
said
Oh, thank
Josh masterminded, and I was like, I'll take it.
Okay, close enough. Yeah, but I also have to say too, I know you said you were playing up the villain role and everything, but just your on-camera presence. I've been saying this almost every episode we've done here. I truly think that you were possibly honestly, I'd straight up say that the best camera presence that we had all season. And a lot of people may not know this, but like I was the one filming basically every single vote that someone had during tribal. And John, you probably remember there were maybe like three different tribal councils where I was struggling to contain my laughter after your voting confessional. Not all of them were aired, so I'm not going to spoil them, but there were some very good times.
Wait,
Yeah, and I'm
since
really sorry, but we only have like a minute 30 left in the Zoom. So I'm sorry, John. I know there's so much to talk about in this episode. But like, just thank you so much for
We may
joining.
have to do a part two.
Yeah, maybe. But now I also, because in the minute we have left, I forgot to say this. You're the fan favorite of this episode. I don't even remember the number right now. I forgot to say it. You're the fan favorite.
Episode 6.
With all those, I mean, there's unfortunately there's like a minute left, so I need to make sure we get everything wrapped up. But once again,
Thank you, free version of Zoom, right?
yeah. All right. John, thank you so much for joining us, giving us all your in-depth details on how you played the game. Honestly, you were one of my favorite like on-camera presence people there, so it was fantastic. Thank you very much, Adam, and thank you very much, Max, for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. And yeah, guys, this was On the Raritan with your host, Peter Slattery. We'll see you next time.
see you on Heroes vs. Villains.
Ooh.